Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MindShare podcast. This show is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems, your partner in transforming your business with systems that work. Kits is your complete cross-channel marketing suite that will generate you more leads and build your repeat and referral machine. These are the tools and expertise you need to help scale your business, as well as REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's premier monthly magazine for real estate professionals. You can learn more about all of our sponsors by visiting my site, mindshare101.com. And of course, while you're there, be sure to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare to get more market share. Plus, learn more about our one-to-one coaching and keynote speaking. Today's episode is number 311. With over 10 years of experience, he is a dedicated, multifaceted professional in real estate, motivated to provide outstanding service to each client. He builds strong relationships and tailors solutions to meet each family's unique needs, helping them embark on their next real estate adventure with confidence. With a proven track record in marketing and business development, his expertise is driven by a passion for client service. He specializes in helping busy families upsize into their dream homes by streamlining the process, minimizing disruption, and offering the best possible advice and resources. Real estate's more than just buying and selling. It's about truly connecting with people. And he believes that a strong relationship built on trust and understanding is key to making the best decision for you and your family. He says, "My commitment is to empower you with the information you need to make informed choices while supporting you every step of the way." Joining me on this episode of the MindShare podcast is broker Jordan Glaser. Now, just as we get Jordan back on the show over here, I want to bring up the fact that Jordan joined us at our recent MindShare Mastermind in Toronto back in September of this year. And first of all, he took full control of the room, added a ton of value for every single one of our guests. Really added a ton of great insights. And a lot of what we talked about was, doing real estate right and sort of survival in real estate. And this is where I thought today, perfect opportunity here to have a conversation with Jordan around survival strategies for real estate agents, how to thrive in 2025. And again, as we look around the landscape right now, what is going on out there in this industry of ours, and what's taking place, a lot of folks, and look, I'll tell you, there's a lot of folks doing some fantastic business this year. I've got a lot of clients of mine that we're looking at their numbers year over year from, even 21, and we'll take 21 of the mix because it was an anomaly. 22, 23, we're seeing massive growth in 2024. And it's ironic because there's a lot of people as well in this industry right now that are really not having great years whatsoever. They're having some really tough years out there and trying to figure out what's going on. And, as I talk to folks that are, I guess, navigating the country and going, to different provinces and different cities and, being part of conversations with agents and brokers and owners in different parts of the country, we are seeing that different markets are obviously reacting very differently to the overall of what's going on. Some are, incredibly busy. Others are having a very tough time. We're seeing where there's difficulties, but there's also a lot of opportunity. Now, I'll say, based on what's going on politically out there, with obviously the election happening down south of the border, where, of course, you're going to have people that are very happy and you're going to have people that are very angry and people that agree and people that disagree. There's a shift happening. And I do believe, against maybe some other opinions, I believe there's a very good positive shift starting to happen. Then we look at, north of the border here, and I really do look at what's going on down south and do believe that what is happening down there will have a positive impact up here. And I think that that's a mindset thing. We could argue that the economy could suffer based on some of the, the tariff conversation and other policies that might come into place. Much the same. We need to somehow find, where is the optimism? Where is the light at the end of the tunnel here for us? What can we do? And I'll tell you, leaving it to the market, leaving it to others, leaving it to anything but what we do, the reality is that, that's not the way to run anything, right? Not to run your business, not to run your life. You can't leave it up to other people. You got to be proactive about what you do. And so again, when we look at what's actually transpiring in the market right now, and we look at where people have had good and where people have had bad, one thing we do know is that there is a lot of opportunity coming. There's optimism as we do look to an election that will be approaching, hopefully sooner than later up here north of the border. We need change. We need to replace order in this country for the way we operate, for the way we get up in a day, for the way we treat each other, for the things that we do, for the beliefs that we have. I also look and say, hey, as optimism around order and optimism around, opportunity continues to climb, and we see interest rates continue to go down, again, opportunity in this business is going to continue to come. But it is all about what you do today that sets you up for what happens tomorrow. Okay. And so it is up to you. It is up to every single person tuned into this show right now, whether you're with me live, whether you're listening to the audio, it's up to you to get your business plan in check, to get your goals in check. In fact, I just got off a coaching call, a couple of them this morning, but one of them specifically where we talked very much about taking control of the actions that you put into your everyday and making sure that those actions are in alignment with what it is you want. And as the goals or part of the actions are in alignment with the goals that you want to accomplish and where you want to get to, now the actions you take in a day are really pushing you towards what it is you ultimately want. Okay. So again, look, you can be reactive to your day. You can be, allowing the smartphone to pull you in all different directions and be a massive distraction to you. But I'll tell you right now, there's no way in the world you survive. There's no way in the world you get to where you want to go if you allow every single other person out there to keep pulling at you. Now, the quickest, easiest argument that you could have right this moment could be, hey, but Dave, when people call, I got to respond. When people ask questions, I've got to respond. When people message me or Instagram me or email me, I got to respond. But yeah, I hate when people ghost each other. I mean, we all know we're all holding these phones around us somewhere. You read the message, just tell us you're not interested. But you do not need to do it right then and there. It does not need to happen in that exact moment. You have to do it when the time works for you. You have to do it when the schedule allows you to. That's how you take control of your day-to-day. That's how you make sure that you are on par to achieving what it is that you want in life. And again, if you're struggling with that, this is about building out a system. This is about building out a process to what you ultimately want and making sure that your every day has a roadmap to how you're going to get there. Because without that roadmap, it's chaos, right? It's wearing all sorts of hats. It's being pulled in a million directions. It feels like you're carrying a boulder up a hill at all times. And then how do we focus? And then what do we say to ourselves at the end of the year when we start to look around and say, well, I didn't get to where I want to go. I didn't accomplish what I wanted. I didn't make the money. I didn't go on the vacations. I didn't spend the time with family. I mean, what is it that absolutely drives you crazy? What is it that absolutely makes you think at all times that you're maybe not good enough? That maybe you're not accomplishing? What's that one thought? Because when you figure that out and you really pinpoint it, I'm talking like write that shit down. Put it up on the wall. Know that it's there. Recognize it. Because when you do that, now you can figure out, how am I going to go ahead and win? How am I not going to allow that to beat me down? And again, all of this is talking about survival. And as we talked about, wanted to get in this conversation today about survival strategies for real estate and how to thrive in 2025. I'd like to now introduce Jordan Glaser. Jordan, welcome back to the MindShare podcast.
Thank you, Dave.
Absolutely, man. It's good to have you back, buddy.
Good to be back, man. Good to be back. Always good to see you.
I don't know if you were catching kind of some of what I was just sharing, but I was saying to people, like, as we're approaching kind of the end of the year and we look at what's going on politically and economically and the market wise, and whether you've had a good year or a bad year, there are certain things that need to be done in order to, again, as we say in this title today, how to thrive in 2025. So I figured, It's only fitting that you're here with us. I mean, we had you in at the mastermind. I was just sharing with everybody. We had you at the mastermind back in September. You absolutely took total control of the room. Everybody got a ton of value, and so much of what we talked about was survival strategies.
Yep. Yeah, it was awesome. It was great to be there. I appreciate you having me there.
Oh man, the insights were amazing, man. And it was you know, actually, and just I mean, you know this, but so many people don't. We don't actually. We've got a lot of realtors in the room, but we don't bring your typical real estate speakers in the room.
Yes.
Jordan was the only realtor that was actually a speaker at the event. Um, but a lot of that comes from the appreciation and sort of the, watching the things that you're doing out there. And then the ability to actually convey a message that's going to help people, get to where they want to get to. So it's, again, man, it's good. It's good. It's good to have you back on the show today. So tell me, like, you know, I guess when most people get into this game, into real estate, right, they're often looking for, this idea of freedom and flexibility, right? Thinking that like, wow, I'm going to make a ton of money. I don't have to work so hard. But if you look back, to like the early stages of your career and you look at your approach, what did
Yep.
you do back then to stay motivated during some of the toughest moments? Again, especially, in a market that isn't always easy, kind of like what we're in right now.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, thank you again for having me back and for having me at the conference. It was awesome, and like you said, like some of the speakers that were there weren't typical real estate guys, but so like mind blowing with the message that they had and like the stuff. Like I still think about it. It was awesome. Very cool.
Oh, it's wicked, man.
I think for me, like when I started in this business, I started cold calling. That was like the first day in. That's what I did. I hit the ground running with cold calling, and that's how I built call it the first stage of my business. And
Right.
it's a tedious and head banging task in a way to pick up the phone and do it every day. I think part of it and the motivation and what kept me going at that point was just the need to succeed. Like, I got into real estate. I had a 6-month-old kid at home. And I left a good job before and, had no certainty anymore. So I think the requirement to create some sort of certainty for myself was the real thing that kind of got me going and kept me going. And then I think as you start going and you start to see the possibilities and the potential and the, what can come from it, I think that creates more of the excitement. It's like, getting the first lead or the first people to interact with you and getting, a first appointment or getting the first client. And then you see that you can get that. It's like, oh man, I can do this. Like this actually works, right? Like I talk to a lot of people about doing this and people are like, oh, it doesn't actually work. It doesn't actually. And I'm like, it actually works. It's amazing what happens when you kind of, commit to something and do it. So I think that's what kept me going in those first, that first year or 2 years when really like my head was down and I was just going. There was no, it's like not looking for what are the new shiny objects? Well, where can I do that? Where can I get business instead of doing this? It was just go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cause I mean, like, listen, as you're going and things are tough and it's not really coming to fruition, it's hard to keep going. It's hard
Yeah.
to stay motivated to do that.
Yeah.
It sounds like for you, at least, it was the fact that there was a career transition and it's like, this is, I have to make money. I have to make this work.
That was a big thing is that like I said, there was no choice, right? I didn't have any fallback. I was in it 100%. And I think when you have that behind you in a way is a huge driver for a lot of people, right? Especially, and I also came from a sales role before. So I always, my whole working career, I've, eat what you kill kind of thing or whatever, however the saying goes, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of been ingrained in me. But just to know that it worked, and I got great advice and had, great mentors helping me in it. And I believed in it. I believed in what I was doing, that it would lead me to success. Right. And I think a lot of the troublesome part is not having 100% faith in what you're doing. So I think by having that got me through those kind of points too.
Yeah. You see, like this is like a jumping off point from where I even started, in today's show was saying to everybody, and again, everybody tuned in right now, you got to find that thing, right? And instead of allowing the distractions to come in and people to, to be reactionary to your days and to allow people to pull you in all different directions, which will always happen, be
Yeah.
it family, be it pets, be it colleagues and clients.
Yeah.
You're going to get pulled in a million different directions, but one thing that you got to do is you got to have some sort of focus, right? You've got to know why you're doing it. And this is why, again, I really, really work to emphasize for everybody. This is why it's so important to set your goals right now. It's not just an income goal, but it's personal goals. It's the action steps that you're going to take to get to the goals and really map that out so that no matter what the market's doing, you're doing the right things. And I believe that, again, as everybody's doing the right things on a regular basis, good things will come from it. And just like you just said, have that belief, keep putting your head down and doing the work, and you will survive. Now, in our conversation at the mastermind, which is one of the things, where again, we talked a lot about survival with everybody,
Yeah.
you shared how so many agents struggle without the proper systems and processes and, with the market being a challenge right now for so many. And again, I can't say everybody because I know some people are having fantastic years. But with the market being challenging and just maybe not being what it was a few years back, how have your systems evolved over time to really help you stay ahead, to maintain that growth and to do it again in sort of tougher market conditions? Have you adjusted anything? Have you changed anything?
Yeah. So I think what I believe in the first part of the question, which is probably like the peak, one of the most important thing is that we can't control the market. We can't
That's right.
help whether things are up, things are down, or left or right. What we do can be a result of that, but we can't control it. So I think one of the key things that we have to keep in mind, and I think we spoke about it at the mastermind also, was like, doing the things and being in control of the things you can control. So I can't control whether the market is up or the market is down, or interest rates are up or interest rates are down. But what I can control is whether I'm doing the 1 or 2 or 3 tasks that I know I need to be doing to be building my business regardless. I can speak to the people I need to speak to and call clients and contacts and whoever, whether the market is stop, go, who wins elections, who doesn't win elections, any of that. None of that matters at the end of the day. All that matters is in my day, I have the tasks that are going to get me where I need to go, and I need to do those tasks. Everything else is on the periphery, and I can't control it. So we can watch the news later and do whatever after, but during the day when I know like this is my work time and I have to focus on what I'm doing, I need to make sure that I'm doing those jobs that I have to do. And I look at it like, this is my job for this hour. My job is calling these people, or my job is doing this. And when that job is done, great. I can move on to something else, or I can say, hey, good job, Jordan. You did your job today. Go pick up your kids from school. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think
this. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
I think that's the key first thing, is to not let all of these outside forces cloud our heads to think, well, if the market's down, then my business is going to be down. Because like you said, there are tons of agents that are having their best years ever in 2024.
Yep.
And I think all that is a result of a consistent commitment to doing 1 or 2 or 3 tasks every day.
Yeah, I think that there's some income producing activities that, and we know we all do a hell of a lot more than 1, 2, or 3 tasks, but there are certain income producing activities, tasks that need to be done.
Yes.
And in doing those, whether you feel like doing them, whether you think you got the time to do them, whether they all got done in the exact same frame of time. I mean, sometimes we sit down and we, it's okay. And I will say to everybody, you should have in your day mapped out that, email is going to happen at this time, and social will happen at that time, and phone calls will happen at that time. And this is how long I'm going to spend doing these things. And in doing that, you get to, physically and even mentally and emotionally check off that you did it. So you've put in that effort, you've done those activities to really propel yourself forward. And as long as you're doing those activities, there's the system and process to, again, just continuing to thrive in the new year, to continue to thrive each day.
Yeah.
Now I know we talked about this in the past, and you'd mentioned about, and I've seen where you've been making some real insightful videos about, doing real estate wrong. right? And you know, like, jokes aside though, and I've been talking about these things for years as well. Like, and I think it's important to get these messages out there. Um, with again the market being what it is, what do you think are some of the most common mistakes that agents are making right now? And how would you maybe suggest that they approach, like, they change that approach so that they can survive or again even thrive?
So I think aside from like there's the whole doing the work you need to do part of it, which we just spoke about, right?
Yep.
Like staying on task, staying focused, staying consistent, which I know from the mastermind, that was like the one word that was said like 3,700 times in those 2 days or 3 days that we were there is consistency, right?
Yeah.
So like
We were pretty
that's
consistent in saying that.
absolutely like that's the number one. And then I think from there, like once you get into the more doing the business, like I posted that video, I don't even remember when it was, a couple months ago, because I just felt like we were in a period where there was a lot of uncertainty. I think it was like the fall, like coming out of the summer into September, and like the market was kind of wishy-washy and nobody really knew which way to go. Is the market leaning towards buyers? Is it leaning towards sellers? Do multiple offers work? Do they not work? And I just took like real life data and experience that I had with clients and with listings and with sales and all that stuff. And I boiled it down. You know, I had a couple listings sitting and said, well, why don't we flip what we're doing and go back to a different strategy and try something new, and had a lot of success with it. So I think I posted that video because it's like everyone's just kind of banging away like, you know, we go to work and we come home like Fred Flintstone every day. But what if we just try it a little bit different and recognize that maybe things are changing and maybe things have shifted one way and they might not last like this forever till the end of the year, which clearly they didn't. Mm-hmm. But why don't we try it? Because we can see right now what's going on. So I think really like keeping a finger on the pulse on the market and what's happening, and not just falling into routine because that's the easier way. And I think that's what my video was about, was like, hey, we're all seeing this kind of stagnant market a little bit at that current time. But here's what happened. I flipped it around a little bit and got an amazing result that I didn't even expect. So like, are we doing it wrong by just falling into the groove and going with the flow when really we could do things a little different and have better results?
Listen, I think it's a great question to ask, because I do believe that a lot of people have fallen into sort of that hole that says, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be, and people just follow suit. And in fact, I was just having a conversation. We've got an event that we've been hired to speak at in the new year, and one of the conversations came up around, you know, what are we seeing out there? What's kind of trending? What's shifting in the market? And I would say that a lot of things that I'm hearing right now, George, are you know, people want to get back to being with people. People want to get back to the ability, you know, and I know obviously door knocking and open houses came back, you know, some time ago now, which they disappeared for a little bit, but they've come back. But more and more people are finding a lot of successes with that. You know, the ability, the option to present an offer, still very few and far between, but people are talking about it, which is interesting. It's like just it's coming up.
Yeah.
Right. Sitting down and reviewing the documents with your clients instead of just emailing it and saying, hey, you know, click next on the screen, because they're not actually reading through and understanding anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that all of these are part of what people have fallen into a groove of kind of routine and of just normalcy, of saying, okay, this is the way we do it. And I look and say, well, then you're just the same as everybody else. You haven't stepped up and done anything differently.
Yeah.
You know, another thing we're hearing a lot about right now, and it just seems to be a vibe that's starting to happen, but that the social media landscape is changing drastically in the sense of, you know, how much focus or how much attention are people giving it? You know, like, we're on there, we'll do the scroll, but it's really changed in the way we're intaking the information that we're watching, we're reading, the way we're engaging with one another. Like, it's becoming more of just the habitual scroll, than it is about actually giving two shits about anything that anybody's saying anymore. And then you got a lot of the same stuff coming out anyways.
Yeah.
You know, are you finding any differences there when it comes to the social landscape?
I think what I notice socially, and I mean, the big topic everyone talks about is AI and all that, how that's changing everything in the whole world and everything. And again, like you just said, like real estate is a person to person business. I don't think that it will take place of that. There are ways that we can use it in ways that it will come into play and all that. But like part of what I see online, like in the scrolling, some of the stuff I look at, I'm like, is that real or is that AI? Like, you don't even know anymore what's real and what's not real. Because someone could take me and make me have a whole different conversation than we're actually having right now, right?
That's crazy.
Like
By the way, Jordan's really actually just been generated through AI.
Like that kind of stuff is crazy. The power that it has and what you can do with it is pretty nuts. So like that's kind of been in the back of my head as I'm scrolling through and you see stuff. It's like, well, what is that? I think there's huge power and potential in AI for us, in terms of, how we market and how we come up with different, data points and getting information and all that stuff. And I think that's a real winner. I think it's a real place that we can all benefit from, that I certainly don't do it right now to the max I could, because I just haven't done it.
I was going to ask you, are you taking advantage of it at all? No. Like, do you do anything really with it?
I've never really taken the time to look. Like, I gone on to ChatGPT and I'll do like, have it do like templates for listing descriptions and stuff like that. But I haven't gone deeper into it than that really. I still like to feel like I have my finger on what's going on in my business. One of the question you asked before about, with the market and changes that I've made in my business. And, one of the main focuses that I've had over the last year and a bit is really, really being aware of leveraging and delegating tasks to, my team, my assistant, that they can do that I don't need to be doing, so that I can spend more time doing those income producing activities. Right.
For sure.
And even when I'm doing that and it's a real person doing it and I can see them doing it, I still feel like I have to have some, it's a hard thing to let it go. So I feel like letting it go to something that's not even real, to AI, to something digital, is like a whole nother world that I don't think I've wrapped my head fully around yet.
You know what? I look, we talked about it at the mastermind, right? Use it as your co-pilot, use it to help you maybe brainstorm a little bit, get a little more creative, bounce some ideas around with when there's nobody else to talk to. Yeah. I'm going to caution everybody, as I continue to do, is, remain relevant, right? Yeah. Don't put too much technology in between yourself and the clients that you're trying to service or the market you're trying to service. The more you do that, the less we need you, right? The more we realize we don't need a human being for it, right? We can do this on our own. Yeah. So you want to continue to have that, that connection point. Now, you just mentioned about the team, and I know, you're an individual agent. You've got a group of supporting staff around you. You were part of a team at one point. Regardless, there's always many, many hats to wear. When you're trying to manage everything on your own, I guess, do you find that trying to do things on your own, but having a supporting team helps you become more competitive, helps you win more? Like, we get a lot of questions from people like, should I join a team? Should I not join a team? And oftentimes when I dig in, I'm like, well, why do you want to join a team? Yeah. Well, I need to get more leads. I'm not busy enough out there. And I'm thinking, well, so you're just going to look for somebody else to give you business? Like, it doesn't work like that. But as well as, if you do that, do you feel that if somebody joins a team immediately, that's the solution, or that maybe they actually miss out on, I'm trying to put this in a proper way, they missed out on growing the expertise and the knowledge to actually win?
So I think that, and I have an ongoing argument in my head daily on, do I want to grow a team? Do I not want to grow a team? Do I want to keep where do I want to go and what do I want to do with this as I grow and, everything. And in part of my thoughts, I think sometimes people have the wrong expectation on why, like you said, why they're joining a team and what's their expectation from it. Because I had the wrong idea of that from my seat in wanting to grow a team. And I thought the same thing, is that people join a team because the value is you get leads and it'll grow your business faster. But then I think back And part of it, when I got into the business, I partnered up with my cousin who was in the business for a long time. And I still to this day will say, by spending, the first 2 years, I don't even know if I did many deals, but I just followed him. Like I was with him every day. We went to he had appointments. I didn't have appointments, but I went and I watched and I listened. I didn't say anything, but I watched and I listened. And I say to this day, like in that first year or two, I got 5 to 10 years worth of experience.
For sure. Yeah, it makes sense.
Right. So did I get business from it? Probably a little bit if I actually look, but I got so much more value that has created so much more business opportunity in the next 10 years of, working, that I think that's sometimes what we miss. And real estate is such a, it can be a lonely business, and you get your real estate license and you're basically thrown to the wolves.
Yep.
Right. It's you standing against all these in Toronto. I don't know. We have now 80,000 other people, and every man for themselves. And, go, right? So how, in a way, it's like we're almost set up for failure in that, because we have no idea what we're doing and how we're supposed to do it and what should we do to be successful. And, we have none of that, right? So I think there's
good to join a team right off the hop, or maybe it's like you got to find the right mentor to learn from if you're going to do it.
So I think joining a team isn't a bad thing, but I think joining a team with the right expectations is important in finding the right team to join. Right. So I think if you're joining a team just because you want to get leads, well, not really you can get the leads, but are you going to be successful with those leads? And if you're not successful with those leads, how long are you going to keep getting those leads until they say, well, now I have to give them to someone who's actually going to do a good job with them and convert them. Right. So I think, part of that is finding a place to go where you have that mentorship, that education, the learning, the support behind you, where it's not just doing the deals, but it's surrounding yourself with people who are doing deals, who are thinking the right way, who are working the right way, so that you kind of get ingrained in that culture. And once you're in that culture, you pick up on stuff so subconsciously without even realizing it.
Right.
Right. And it can be as simple as a confidence in how you feel when you're talking to somebody, or, how you project yourself when you walk into a room or you go in front of someone that you might have no idea what you're saying, but if you're projecting it and you're confident and you show that, people will have confidence in you. Right. But if you're surrounded by a group where you don't really have much going on and there's not that success level and you don't feel it, whether you get the leads or not, maybe you'll get a few of them, but it's not like you're kicking off on the best foot, I would think.
Right? Makes sense. Okay. Now, okay. So good advice there. Okay. And I like your spin on that, because I think what we're saying there is it's not a bad idea to join one.
No.
Find the right one, find the right mentor.
Yeah.
And don't go in there with the wrong expectations, which could be they're going to send me all sorts of leads.
Right.
Instead, try to find, hey, is there somebody I can learn from? Is there somebody I could shadow that I could really experience what this business is about? Because you're right. They throw you to the wolves.
Yeah.
Here's how to sign an agreement of purchase sale. Here's how to stay compliant. And it's like, okay, but how do I actually market myself and get business? You just, get out there and do
it. If you spend 2 days on a weekend standing in an open house with a guy who's killer at open houses, and then the next weekend you go do your own open house, how do you think that open house is going to go for you?
Exactly.
Right.
So okay. Speaking of open house, we talked on social media. We're talking about teams. You just mentioned how many agents are in the Toronto market alone, or Ontario market alone. Like it's massive numbers, right? And we talk about brand awareness and remaining relevant, and really getting out there. And I know brand awareness has always been a key part of your strategy. You do a phenomenal job at what you do there. How in a market like this, or even with so many people out there, how have you kept the brand relevant? How do you stay top of mind no matter what? And maybe even what kind of messaging are you sharing with people? Because, I mean, look, let's face it, we both know it. Sellers think their houses are still worth what they were worth in 2021. Buyers are having trouble getting money because all the regulations, and no matter what, interest rates are coming down, and other qualifying factors are easing slightly, stress tests and whatnot. There's still a difficulty in getting the dollars that people need. I mean, there's a subdivision down the street from my house.
Yeah.
It's a brand new build, and the signs say brand new, starting at 1.8 million. And you're like, starting at 1.8 million? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, look, there's a lot of different mindsets out there about what's going on. But again, the fact of the matter is we run a business. How are you staying relevant and what kind of conversations are you having with people right now?
So from a marketing point of view, the number one thing that I keep in mind every day, and I think is the backbone of staying relevant and everything, is just being there. Is being in front of people consistently every day. So like we have
So like building MindShare. Duh. I like it. I like it.
exactly. That's the name of the game. If people don't see you, they forget about you. Right? Whether someone needs to move or is thinking about moving or needs real estate or not, whatever it is, as long as they keep seeing me pop up, they're going to keep thinking about me. And when something does come up real estate wise, I will be there. Right? So the number one thing is that consistency in always just being there and building the mind share and being in front of people. Right? It's like, being there is better, or what's the say? Like doing it is better than doing it perfect or whatever, however that.
Done is better than perfect.
Exactly.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I got over it a long time ago, how I look and how I sound on camera. I will always hate it. I will never like it, but it's me and it is what it is.
Dude,
so,
you sound and look the same as you do on camera as you do in person. It's true.
Right?
And as much as you say you hate it, we all think the same thing. And everybody thinks that way.
Right. So just do it. I just like this morning I was out door knocking, doing letters, and I just did a video walking because people see it and people see that I'm working and people see that I'm doing it, looking for properties for buyers that I have. So if someone is thinking of buying something, indirectly they'll be like, oh, I wonder if the agent that I spoke to is out doing this. Maybe I should call this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm looking for a house in the same area he posted about. Maybe he's got something for me. Right? So it doesn't matter from a starting point what we put out. I think it's just a matter of being there. Being in front of the people and letting them see you. And then from that, it's just trying to be like relevant. I try to put stuff out that I think I would be interested in.
Okay, so here you wake up in the morning, you're gonna go out door knocking, and your mind is maybe a little groggy, who knows, like whatever, you're just tired, but you get up and you do what you got to do.
Yep.
Where does some of those ideas come from when you say, like, I want to put something out there that I might be interested in?
Everywhere.
Just top of mind, like it just comes up and you kind of go, or what?
I think the best driving when I'm not thinking and something pops into my head and I'm like, oh shit. And I have my phone and I do like a voice note or write in the notes on my phone so that I don't forget, because 10 seconds later, every time I say, oh yeah, I'm going to remember this one, it's really good, I forget.
That happens to be, it's like in the shower where you can't write anything.
Yeah.
Or it's like I'm going to sleep and I'm just about to fall asleep, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'll remember that for tomorrow. You're like, no, you won't.
Yeah.
No, you won't. I find myself like writing myself an email at like 1:00 in the morning.
This one's the best one. There's no way I'll forget it by tomorrow morning. Gone.
Dude, here, cold calling. You mentioned this off the top.
Yeah.
You said cold calling back then. I know, and we know that when it comes to traditional styles of that stuff, cold calling, door knocking, open houses, like that's some heavy lifting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And most people shy away from doing these things. This traditional methods of prospecting.
Yeah.
Have you changed your approach? I mean, it sounds like I happen to know, but I'd say like just knowing that, even you said it, you're out door knocking this morning. You mentioned cold call. I know that a lot of agents these days, when they're thinking about, should they join a team? Should they switch brokerages? What should they do? It's like, how many leads are you going to give me? Do we subscribe to this like lead thing, or is it like the go out and work hard thing?
So I think it's a go out and work hard thing. Yeah. I think you can get leads and people will share stuff. Like I'm working right now on kind of taking some stuff off my plate and having some help in that, so I can focus on some things that I want to focus on. I think there's always opportunities like that. I will say, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure there are people that will disagree with me all day long, and that's totally cool. But for me, I've never delved into or believed in the online lead thing. I've never generated much business from it. I've never seen great results from it. I've always seen the results from doing the work and getting the results from that. Yeah, that's maybe it's just, again, how I was taught, and that's the environment I came from, and that's what I do. But at the end of the day, it works. At the end of the day, and now my business has evolved, right? Like my business, which used to be, cold calling dependent and cold prospecting dependent has evolved to more, database sphere of influence, that sort of thing, clients, because I've built the MindShare with them. You like that, eh?
Yeah, I do like that, actually. I'm going to use that one, and I'm going to do it consistently.
But, and now it's still the same thing. It's still about just keeping in touch with the people, talking to the people, working those people, which I know will give me more than trying to just throw ads online and try to get people calling me and stuff coming in. I think the best results come from the leads that you reach out to grab than the leads that come in.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I know through, again, speaking with so many people that we get to talk to, it is very much the same. People tout the same thing. I mean, with our coaching system, we've got this document called the deal tracker, and we track every deal, and we track the source of the deals, and we track the dollars and everything else, and it's a telltale sign. It's like looking at stats in any sport, right? It's a telltale sign. Where is the business coming from? And it's like, well, it's coming from there. Then I got this like really smart idea here. Why don't we just go over there and get more business, right? And it's like it's almost too simple.
So I started doing that this year.
Yep.
Like really zoned in on tracking exactly like you say, like what's the business and where's it coming from? And I put an extra element on it in how much money am I investing in that section.
Love that.
So I look
marketing plans. Yep.
I can look and say, like, I have a farm that I work and I have flyers that I send out, except for right now because Canada Post is on strike.
Don't get me started.
Another topic for another day.
Yeah, you can imagine the headaches we're dealing with.
Right. But so I look and say, okay, so far this year I've spent X amount of dollars.
The Canada Post wants. See? They want it. One of the demands is if they work more than 5.5 hours, they want an hour of lunch. Go eat lunch.
Everyone's got to eat, I guess.
Oh my God. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
So I look and say how much money I've spent, how many leads have come from that money, how many deals have come from that money. And I can look at the ROI and I look at that based on that marketing. I look at it based on the marketing to my database. I look at it based on different places where I spend money and I can see the returns. And while I spend a lot of money on flyers, every time I look at it, I say, why aren't I doing more on my database? Because that's where the bigger returns come from.
Now, when it comes to the flyers, and we'll say this, and I want to go twofold on that, because when it comes to the flyers, I have to clarify right now, because again, you've built a wicked reputation within your community. Yeah. People know you, they do like you, whether they're direct clients or not, they really do know of you in that area. And you continue to build a strong reputation out there. And this is in a world that seems more transactional than ever. But you're not just doing the flyers.
No.
You've got the events that you're doing. You're out there door knocking, like you're getting involved in the community to really talk to people. And again, would you suggest that is a big part of what builds up that reputation, so that you can then pull the opportunities from there to get the ROI, and at the same time, I guess, increase the database so we've got more opportunity for repeat referral?
Yeah, I mean, just sending flyers alone is a waste of money, I think.
Right.
You'll get some business,
support.
But it's a long-term play for not much. I mean, I send flyers in conjunction with calling in the neighborhood, knocking in the neighborhood around listings I have. I do 2 or 3 events at least per year in the neighborhood. I sponsor the school fun fairs and stuff like that in the neighborhood. I'm everywhere.
Yep. You've got the community or ice cream.
So I do
skating. There's so much going on out there.
I do an ice cream day before school starts. I do a skating day on family day. I'm working on a toy drive right now for the holidays. I was the guy sitting in the dunk tank at my kid's school fun fair last year. It was freezing cold, but it was fun. So I try to get out and be involved in the neighborhood. I do a business networking event at a place in the neighborhood to bring people who own their own businesses together. Like I do try to do everything I can, because the more we help people, the more people help us. And it's just fun. I'd rather meet 10 new people at a networking event than sit on my phone and cold call.
Or I was about to say, like, do you find that these community events are going to have are more advantageous? They're more crucial than, let's say, trying to beyond the cold call. I'm talking even like beyond social media, chasing random strangers,
Yeah, because people see I'm real,
right? They
right?
get to
When
actually see you.
they see you, they see you're real. They see that how you interact, that you're like talking to somebody is different than seeing you on a flyer or seeing you on a billboard or seeing you on social media, right?
Okay, would you say that that is the best way that you actually continue to remain authentic, or would that be a mix now of be out there in person and then parlay that with what you're doing online, so that when people see you, they go, "Hey, he's the same guy."
I think it's a mix of both. I mean,
Yeah.
I think if you look at the video I posted this morning, like door knocking, like I'm the same on that as I am talking to you, and you know me
Right.
in person. I'm the
Yep.
same
Yep.
as I am in person, right?
See,
So
I think too
it's
many people fall into these gimmicks. They're looking for like shortcuts to success, buying leads. Like we saw this the other day. Um, a post had popped off and just gone like it started just going kind of crazy. And as there was a deeper dive into that particular post, and this doesn't this didn't happen as a result of me, but what we found was the individual had put some dollars behind it to increase the awareness of it, and it looked like it was doing phenomenal. When we really dove into it, we realized there was a lot of bots.
Mhm.
It was a lot of fake stuff, and I guess maybe I'll ask you that, like from an idea of like, we've always been taught, right? Don't judge a book by its cover. Yet we've got so much of this perception as reality, the sheeple mentality around, well, everybody seems to be doing that, so I'm going to
Yeah.
go do that,
Yeah.
and they believe that that's the way to go because of, you know, I guess what's your thoughts there on sort of the social landscape around like paying for that stuff and not being legitimate versus, let's say, this conversation we're having about authenticity and actually connection with people.
Yeah. So, well, I'll preface by saying I pay to boost posts that I post depending on what they are
Mhm,
for
mhm.
certain reasons, just
Okay.
to get greater
Fair. Yeah,
exposure.
that's good.
Um, I don't. I have never paid for likes or views or any of that shit, because I don't think that that's authentic, and I don't think it helps.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the biggest problem, we have an industry that people only see this much of, and they only see
I know.
this much of it online, right? So everybody sees, and everybody thinks real estate agents drive around in fancy cars and go to multi-million dollar houses and do all this fancy shit stuff. Sorry.
That's okay. MindShare podcast, but it's all good.
And that's what people see. People don't see the mundane, everyday, in and out struggles, the emotional roller coaster that you can go on from 9 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock at lunchtime to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, right? You can go from here to here to here and back to here within a matter of an hour and a half in this world.
Crazy, I know.
Like, it's bananas.
Yeah.
So I think, what you see online, and I always look, because I always see people online. I'm like, oh, wow, how are these guys killing it? What are they? Where's the magic pill? Blah, 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 blah. You can't live. I've learned that you just brush it off. I know I've been through it enough to know that there's no like quick button to push to get, you know, 10 more deals or X amount of dollars or this much business or anything like that. So I think
true, man.
you got to just put the blinders on and keep going. Cause I think, like you said, the hard work is what pays off. That's where the results come from. And, without it, you can get lucky every now and then, but
Well, that's so much of like life, isn't it? Like around
yeah,
when you think about experience, you
yeah,
get into doing something, it could be anything. Anything we do, you're not going to be amazing at it when you first do it. It's just not going to be the best it could possibly be. And then as you do it more and you do it more and you start to experience it, you start to realize, you know, where you're winning, where you're losing, what's good, what's easier for you, what's harder for you, what you're really good at, what you're not good at. You
Yeah.
start to implement certain things, and then you start to adjust, you start to learn, you start to apply, and you get better. But it only comes to the natural progression of osmosis of like doing it rather than just thinking that I can go and like, yeah, like you said, the magic pill, the bright shiny object. Like, you're not going to find the answer to everything you want. Yes, the answer is on Google or AI or whatever you want to call it. But the reality is, like, when it comes to experience and success, it doesn't work that way, right? Like, there's no button. You're right. There is
Yeah.
no button,
And I think success for everybody is different, right? What different people want is
That's for sure.
different. And what one person wants, what I want today versus last month or next year is going to be different, right? So it's about adapting and kind of keeping focus on that and tailoring what you're doing to get there.
Well, and speaking of different, I mean, when we think about clients, right? Like, I know you've got an ultimate goal to be just a resource for your people. And I think it's huge, right? It obviously it shows through the successes you've had, and it's not just about being a sales rep. Like, it's not just about sales; it's about helping people.
Yeah.
How do you stay true to that? Like, is it the consistent marketing? Is it the messaging, connecting with people? Is it the conversations? I mean, again, when we think about a market right now where people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait," or whatever, And I remember it's funny actually. It's funny, it's just like it popped in my head as I'm saying this to you. But I remember you and I being on a webinar. Somebody else had hosted it. Maybe you hosted it. I don't even know. During COVID.
Yeah.
And people had asked, like, what do I do? What should I be doing right now? And I piped up, I said, like, make phone calls. And this one guy started blasting me for saying make phone calls.
Right.
And I said, I didn't tell you to go sell anything.
Yeah.
Check in and say what's up to people.
I spent COVID calling people asking if they need anything, groceries, medicine, shovel, their driveway shoveled.
Right.
And I still call people back today and they're like, oh yeah, you're the guy who offered to bring me groceries during COVID.
See, and it's amazing how people would look and say, well, I don't have the time for that. Or, oh, what's that going to get me?
Yeah.
But then they say they want to build a great real estate business built on repeat and referral. Like, what's the magic pill to that? Is it just simply be a genuine person?
I think you
be there for them.
I think part of it is that in our business, especially because it's a personal business, like we're dealing with people doing some of the largest transactions in a very stressful and a very difficult time, that if somebody's struggling with a decision or struggling with something and all you care about is pushing it across the finish line, they're going to lose their faith and their trust and their confidence in you. Right. So I think you have to have that natural ability to be compassionate and connect with people and care ultimately at the end of the day. But yeah, I think it's about it's being real with people and just trying to see how you can help them, right? That's our job. Our job is just to help people when they have real estate needs, right? Not everybody has it today. Not everybody needs to sell their house today. If I called you and said, Dave, you want to sell your house this week before the holidays, you're going to be like, no, I'm not moving. I love my house.
So what do you do with that?
That's fine. But now how can we build our relationship? How can I be there for you in case? I know that you have a business you run. How can I help you grow that business if you need? The best thing I ever did, and I still get it sometimes, is I have a couple like trades, electricians, plumbers, guys who, like, when people ask me, I have they're just the guys I know. I've known them for years from whatever circles, like we've known each other forever, right? You know people forever, and you just send them, oh, call this guy. He can help you with that. And the amount of times I've gotten calls like, oh, these guys actually say like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about selling my house. I want you to come over because I know that you've sent people to me.
So it's giving referrals to somebody else for their business.
It's supporting people because they will support. If someone helps me, if you send me a client today, let's say,
yep,
all I'm going to want to do is find a way that I can give it back to you.
Right. Reciprocate.
Right.
Huge.
So why don't we do that more?
See, well, because I'm too busy and I don't have the time, and I'm focused on me. Like, I mean, look, we see so many agents that are so focused on themselves and focused on their transactions. Forgive me, but it's a selfish approach.
Yeah.
Right. When you're doing it just for you, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, especially in the business that we're in here, where it's about helping other people. Yeah. Conditions and offers, should they always be in there? Do you find that like it's okay not to have them in there? I know that at the time, at a time, it was, we have to speed this up and just let's get this deal in there. But I look now and I think, hey, why not have an inspection condition unless it's a brand new build and the inspector just came through and blessed the house? Or, why not have the financing condition? Like, in my mind, it's just, it helps us keep our clients safe, as opposed to, like, I know, and I think I brought this up last week, so whatever, forgive me to all my listeners, but, there was a client of mine, we were talking, and there was an issue with the property, and there was no condition for inspection. And then they ended up finding out that in the crawl space, there was a little bit of a termite problem. And I said, well, why was there no condition? He said, the buyer didn't want to put a condition. I'm like, did you advise them to put a condition? He's like, no, they didn't want to put it. I'm like, how was the house? Built in the 1800s. How in the world don't we advise the buyer to put a condition for inspection? Yeah. I just, in my mind, it's like, it's, I don't know. What do you think though? Conditions, or is it circumstantial? Like,
100%. It's completely circumstantial. If we're having this conversation in February of 2021, or October of 2016, or any of these periods, what's a condition?
Right.
You want to put a condition, and that's fine. We can put it, but I'm going to tell you now, you're not getting a house.
Yeah. See, right. So it's all circumstantial.
Unfortunately, it was a result of the market. Again, one of those things we can't control, but that was a result that we had to adapt to in that sense.
Okay.
Right? There's ways to get around it. Like, we could do an inspection before offering. It's going to cost you $500 or $600, but at least right?
Yeah.
So there's ways to get around those things. Today, put inspections in. Why not?
Why not? It gives you, it buys you time.
Yeah.
Keeps you safe.
Think, in my opinion, one of the best things about a home inspection is that a buyer gets to spend 2 hours in the house they bought and just kind of see how it feels. Because
but there's back to the in-person thing, right? There's back to the value of just getting together in person and being there.
Otherwise, you go to when you bought your house that you live in, you went to see it. How many times did you visit it before you put an offer in on it?
Probably a couple times, maybe.
Right.
Didn't spend enough time.
For 15 minutes each?
Yeah, probably.
20 minutes? Yeah. Half an hour? And you went and spent $12 million, Dave? Like, come on.
Yeah. It was 15. It was 15.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, right. It's funny, though. We were talking about that. We, Jennifer just got a new truck. And, beautiful truck.
Yeah.
But I find that the seats are a little more narrow. And I'm like, man, I wish I had time to like drive this thing for a few hours, not just on a quick test drive with the guy in the back that's watching you drive the car.
Right.
So you could feel it out. And I guess it's a similar thing there.
That's what I think about inspections. I think it's just great for people to be able to spend an hour or two in a house and feel comfortable and see how it feels and see the quirks and the stuff you may have missed because all you did was came in through an open house or whatever it is, right?
Look, again, we're talking about survival strategies, for agents and how to thrive in 2025. And I think that so much of what we talked about today is so much about getting back to that, that true connection with people, really being out there with people, and jokes aside, building the MindShare, being consistent. Yeah. Moreover, caring about that person that you're dealing with on the other end and finding a way to say, how can I help that? Excuse me. How can I help that person? And I know that for everybody tuned in right now, if you're looking for like, okay, what's my 5 steps I need to do? Quite frankly, I could give you 5 steps. Moreover, I think that there's a deeper thinking that needs to happen here of, when we talk about survival, and we talk about thriving and growing, it's always about having a focus on the other person. What do they need? How can I help them? How can I keep them safe? What can I do to put them in the best position they could possibly be in? Because when we do that, we get great referrals, we get great recommendations, we get repeat business.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you think about, well, what am I doing to get my next deal? Well, it's like, what did you do in the previous deal? How good were you with those people?
Right.
And that's where I believe more success comes from. And I think that that's how everybody could be a lot more successful.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the easiest way to get it to come back to you is to put it out like that and just do your best for people, right?
That's absolutely, man. So here, speaking of then, at the end of the day, after you've finished up an entire day and you've done everything you've done, because I know you wear a lot of hats and you cover a lot of ground each day. How do you know that it's been a successful day for you?
If I in my mornings or the day before, I set out like there's one task that I need to do every day, and it's whatever call or contact number that I set for myself, right? If I'm depending who I'm calling, what I'm calling, I have that prospecting goal that I have every day. If I can do that, nothing else matters.
That's it.
If I do that, I know the rest will work itself out.
It's trusting in the process.
Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, any final words? What wisdom? Anything you could give to everybody to help them build more mind share, to get more market share? I mean, even if there's one takeaway that everybody could get from today's episode, again, as we talked about survival strategies for real estate agents, how to thrive in 2025, what would it be? What would you wrap up with?
Forget about everything else. Forget about what's going on outside of here. Set your goals, set the tasks you want to do, and just do it and keep doing it, right? It's not going to, you're not going to call people today and list their house tomorrow. You're not going to call someone tomorrow and sell their house next week. But set it out and do it. Like, real estate is a very cyclical business. It runs in cycles. We have a 3 to 4 month cycle that we run on pretty much. So speak to people today. Like between now and like the end of December, I think is such a opportune time that so many people are getting ready to think about or getting ready to do something real estate wise in 2025 because of the narrative that everybody's hearing and reading in the news and mortgage rates and all that sort of stuff. Forget about everything else and just speak to those, call those people, speak to those people, work your people.
So you wouldn't say it's time to take a vacation and just call December quits and see you later for 4 weeks and come back in January?
Yeah, look, if you set yourself up for January, sure, go for it. But I haven't, so I got to work, right?
Hey, man, no, but I'm with you though. It's like everybody's always looking for that reason. So what should I say? Well, how about you call and wish a happy holidays and find out what people are doing over the next few weeks of the year and to finish the year.
Easiest time to call.
Oh my God, so many things that you can talk about with people.
Oh yeah, there's too much going on that you could do. The problem is the conversations last too long.
Hey, this is why you need an approach. You need to know how many people you're calling, what time you're doing your calls, and how you're going to get in and get out so you make sure that, you're not taking forever. But again, these are all strategies we teach with coaching. So that's for another time.
Absolutely.
Jordan, this has been fantastic, man. Thank you very much. I know some technical difficulties off the top, but all good. We navigate. Dude, listen, that's you said it before. Done is better than perfect.
Literally, the second you were I heard your voice start to talk, and the entire power in my whole street went out.
Dude, I was watching. I saw you in the back room. All of a sudden, you disappeared. I'm like, oh, all right. And then I'm watching. I'm like, yeah, he ain't back yet.
Dude, I'm getting messages from my neighbors like, did your power go out? Did your power go out? I'm like,
oh, man, you got to love it. You got to love it. The reliance that we have on technology, hence another nod to why you got to get out there in person with people.
That's it. Exactly. But I'm glad I got back in. I'm always happy to talk. It was a lot of fun.
Buddy, always a ton of value. I can't thank you enough for making the time today. I know you got a ton of stuff to go on your schedule. I will let you go, but thank you once again for joining us on the MindShare podcast.
Thank you.
You are either listening to this on one of your favorite podcast platforms, or maybe you went to my website, MindShare101.com. And while you're there, be sure to learn more about our one-to-one coaching, group training, and keynote speaking. Of course, download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mind share and earn more market share. For all inquiries, just go to my website, MindShare101.com, and again, connect with us today. Of course, please do not forget to leave a review of this podcast at www.ratethispodcast.com/MindShare101. Again, it's a very simple way for you on any one of your devices to get over to a review page. That's it. If you are on an iPhone, you want to go straight to iTunes, that'd be awesome. Spotify, of course, is a big one too. But anywhere you are, we'd love if you take a moment to just leave us a big 5 stars, a nice little review. Let us know how much you love the show. And if we haven't yet, connect with me on Facebook at MindShare101, on TikTok at MindShare101, and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to say a big thank you to Kits Keep in Touch Systems, as well as REM Real Estate Magazine. This has been another episode of the MindShare podcast. Thank you for tuning in.